In this fourth video, I will make pots with handles. First, I'll throw a series of coffee cups and several pitchers. And later, I will demonstrate how to pull the handles on those pots and pitchers. A normal-sized coffee cup probably takes 10 or 12 ounces of clay. If you want to make a set of cups, you can weigh out the balls of clay so you make them sort of the same. Lots of ways to throw clay. But this is about 300 grams of clay, or 10 ounces, and it's about a 2.5 inch diameter piece of clay. This would make a nice sized coffee cup. This is relatively a small piece of clay for our hands compared to what we started with in making the cylinder. So you might have a little trouble getting the small piece of clay centered. Open it up almost down to the bottom. Flatten the bottom on the inside and lift up the rest of the clay into a cylinder. As long as you went to the trouble of wedging all this clay, I like to try to use it all in the pot. And the top of the coffee cup should be headed out a little bit, like this. Because it's a drinking vessel, you want to make it easy for the coffee or the tea to flow out. And we don't put a foot on these pots usually. As you throw more and more, you will develop techniques of your own rather than the rigid techniques that we talked about in the first tape. For instance, I find myself a lot of times throwing this first pull mostly with my left hand, just because it has become strong enough and I can hold it steady enough to control the clay there. The coffee cup, probably more than any other pot, is the one that you become closest to. You hold it in front of you, you look at it a lot, and you hang on to it a lot. So therefore, we want to make these coffee cups with as much personality and variation as we can. Now these marks here are marks that I call, they're very quiet. All the lines are horizontal and very close together. It's very mechanical or very machine-like. And sometimes you can take a rib or move your hands quicker up the side. Now this scale on the side is somehow more in keeping with the scale of the pot. Gives it a little warmer feel. You can also maybe make a sharper edge up top. Seems like everybody has a favorite coffee cup. The coffee cup seems to be the most intimate single piece of pottery that we use. And so the maker leaves his mark or her mark on the pot. And hopefully that's transferred. The joy of making the pot, the fun of it all, the intimacy. These finger marks are rather close and tight together, which leave the pot, to me, to be ordinary, except I like the little wiggle that it's off. It's a little bit off center, I don't mind that. So we can add a little bit of variety there. Think about where we might want to put the handle. smooth off the lip so it's nice to drink out of. We can also add other marks. Coffee cups and handles to come. Coffee cups and pitchers are both functional pots that we use a lot. With the pitcher we have an added element of a spout to go with the handle, and then as well as the size of the pot is important for expansion. A little creamer, for instance, is just that, a little creamer. Most of these pots come off of a cylinder. This will be a small pitcher, so we're going to give it a fat little belly, and then the top of this pitcher should be headed out. It would be very difficult to make a pouring spout out of a shape like this that's going in. Since this pitcher has to pour, we want it to spread out like this. Little spot for a handle and a spout. The spout is made by this hand going over the top. That's going to be the spout, but you don't want it to look like it got bumped. We want to make a very definite move there. On both sides of the spout, the clay should be thinned, and pull the spout out and think about it as being a nice size in relationship to the opening. Pitcher really does have just one purpose, and that's to pour. So some of the nicest ones are often the most simple shapes. Be a nice stable base. Little accent here for the handle. And if you want to try to make a pouring spout that doesn't drip, here's one way you can do it. Take your tool and split the lip. Try the left hand, put it over the top, and thin the clay by rubbing these two fingers together on this side, and then by rubbing the thumb and the index finger together on this side to thin the clay at these 2 points. So it's a very definite change in shape. So rub this clay so you thin the clay right there. Then on the other side, do the same thing, holding it against your thumb. Then rock it back and forth to pull the spout out. And this little cut in the lip will catch that last drop. Some of the neatest usable pitchers are just cylinders with a little bit of shape given to them. And by the time you add a handle, it's a complete pot. It seems to have a front and a back, sides. I think the handle makes it that way, the handle and the spout. A few accents, and they're just beautiful because of their utility, their usefulness. Have a little accent on the shoulder. I can put the handle here. I could put the handle up there. If the pictures get really large, you might have to, or you might want to put a handle on the other side as well. Have a big handle on one side and a little bit of a, just a little knobby on the other, if they're, to make it easier to control. Nice wide base gives you a feeling of security there when you have a tall cylinder like this. And the spout. And one more. I'll try to make this one a little fatter picture, a little wider in the middle. And using the throwing stick to refine the bottom of the pot. This could be a vase. Dry the left hand and put it over the top. Use the right hand to thin the clay at one spot, and then on the other side of the spout, and then pull it out, rock it. Position of the handle on this one will make a big difference. I'm just testing these cups to see if they're ready for handles yet. So this is a little bit too soft yet. I want it to be soft enough so that the handle will stick nicely, but not too soft that it's going to get all distorted when I put the handle on. And if it's too hard, of course, then the handle won't stick. The clay has to be about the same dampness in order for the clay to shrink and stay together. So I'll let these sit for a little while longer and show you how you can practice your handles before you actually try to put it on your cups or your pitchers. We start out with just a simple tapered shape squeezing it between your fingers like this and pulling it down, and we want it to be tapered this way and that way. The thickest part of the handle will be the attachment. And then just lay it on a board and cut it off, and you can make some more. Squeeze it between your thumb and finger, and then maybe between your two fingers like this to get it tapered. Lay the handle on the board and cut it off. The next step is to pick up the handle, hold it gently in your hand, and flatten the top of this to give yourself a little ledge of clay that you can attach to the pot. So you would pull all the handles at this stage first, like this little ledge of clay here that you can use it to attach to the cup. Make it look like it grows out of the pot. And you can practice on anything you want. You can take a cardboard tube like this and wet it a little bit and just sort of screw this handle on there, twist it and push it on there. Then with a dry finger, weld this like so that it's going to stick onto the pot. And you attach it all the way around. And remember, we want the handle, the attachment, to be the thickest part, and it should be tapered from here. Now you hold your pot upside, hold the handle so it's dropping straight down, and now you can thin the handle, keeping the attachment the thickest part. Try to get this so it's very, very thin. And always have it wide. A round handle does not work very well. It slides around in the hand because it's round instead of strap kind of shape. These strap shape handles fit the hand better. They're easier to control the pot. So when you get this, now the bottom part should be thinner than the middle and so forth. Then you can just take the pot, let the handle fall, and attach it and throw away the extra clay. It doesn't have to be too far away from the pot. A lot of handles go way out here, and it might be very flamboyant and decorative, but it doesn't really help with the utility, with the using of the pot. So you don't need it very far away from the pot in order for your fingers to get inside there. And if it's a pot that has hot apple cider or hot tea or something, you don't want it too close either. You should practice on something other than your pot because it takes like 40 or 50 times to pull a handle before you can get a feel for it. And you don't want to go back and fuss with it afterwards. I like this nice direct attachment down here without any burrs or sharp pieces of clay that when they get fired will be uncomfortable to pick up. But it takes a long time before you can get this simple looking handle to look nice on a pot. After you make several hundred of these handles, you might like to do some experimenting on your own. For instance, you could put a groove down the center of the handle for a larger pitcher or something like that. Initiate it at this point. Or you can have a ridge down the middle. Now I need a few more handles for the cups. And then the next step is to flatten these all out. This saves you from putting one handle on, getting your hands all wet, having to dry your hand and then put another handle on, and getting your hands wet. So if you do it in stages like this, if you do it all at, do one thing for all the handles. And the more handles you make, probably the more variation you will have on your handles. So it takes a little bit of water. Just sort of screw this handle on there like that. With the dry hand, weld this in there. Sort of start in the center and pull it towards the side. Same way there. And you have to make sure you attach this all the way around. And I will do that to all the handles too. The reason I can do this just with a little bit of water is because the pots are damp enough so I know that they will accept this handle and dry together and not crack. If your pots do get a little too dry, you might have to score the edge of the pot where the handle is going to be. An easy way to do it is just to score a little bit with this serrated rib, then add a little water to it. That just gives a little more surface for the handle to grab onto. Then push it into that. Round off the bottom of your pots, because if that little jagged edge gets fired, it will be very rough. And it will scratch you as well as your tabletop. And we don't want that. This reminds me of my teacher when he made about 200 handles for his teacher, and his teacher liked one of those handles. Now I have to make the handle thin, a lot thinner, and always keeping the bottom part thinner than the top part. So if you want to, you can start squeezing at the bottom here, a few pulls, and then gradually move up so you have the whole handle. And you should change your hand position around so that you don't have any sharp edges developing. Just try to get the handle to fit the pot visually. When you pull the handle, each handle on the pot, then you have the freedom to decide how big or how small each of the handles should be. It's much more personal way to make handles on your cups rather than trying to make a pre-shaped handle and put it on your pre-shaped cup. This way they will always be related to the shape. The biggest or the most often made mistake, or the mistake most beginners often make, is they pull the handle too thin before they attach it. When it's already this soft and you try to attach it, you're going to distort it tremendously. So one of the secrets is just to make a stick of clay or a tongue of clay for your handles, and then you can shape it after one end is attached. Be sure to clean up the attachment. Make the handle look like it It's going to grow right out of the side of the pot. Clean that attachment up. Then squeeze hard. Make sure the bottom is thinner than the rest of the handle. And you develop a feel for this, and you can tell when the handle is thin enough so that it will make a nice curve, and then just pinch and take the extra clay away and get rid of any of the sharp edges, but leave the obvious method that you attach the handle with by just giving a flick of the thumb or the finger on each side. And you set it down. Some of these handles are better than others. I seem to like this one. It fits the concave part of the pot and is smooth, nice clean attachment, not too big and not too small, and not too far away from the body of the cup. And I like this one because of the strong attachment in both top and the bottom. And the cup itself is a little stronger, a little heftier kind of cup. Wide base, accent in the center, and a little crooked on the top. And I put the handle on right next to the high side of the cup. This one works. This is a nice reverse C-shaped handle. This is the one that I put on the cardboard, so it's not going to hold any water at all. Don't forget to use the cardboard tube if you want to practice without wrecking your pots. And now let's put the handles on the pitchers. Should round off the bottom. Going to put the handle right on that accent. And always remember to put the handle opposite the spout. I'll get all these large pitchers ready to go first. This is a straightforward pitcher. It's going to have a straightforward handle, nice and thick and sturdy, something you won't have to worry about breaking off when you pick it up full of liquid. Up, out, and down. You certainly can learn a lot by looking at lots of pots in the museums, in the galleries. There are lots of ways to do handles. You can, if you want to know how to do this regular handle, you could probably figure out alternatives for different shapes or for different strengths, visual strength as well as physical strength.